Here we go. Evening, folks. Thanks for coming in. You're all very welcome. Hope you're having a good week so far. The sun was shining in Scotland again today, and I'm not lying. I'm not kidding on. It was shining. It was raining yesterday, but the rain's kind of done one, and the sun came out, so the shorts were back on, and I'm not apologising for it anyway. Everybody's seen me outside. The shorts on. I'm not sorry. So tonight we are joined by Into the Obscure host and historical site volunteer Cara Phillips. No Phillips.
Hi,
Phillip.
everyone. Just plain old Phillip. One L,
Phillip.
no S.
No, one L. What? I've spelled your name wrong, have I? No, I don't think so. See what I mean, Cara? What I was saying before we came on, it's just. So Cara has came along. We had scheduled a show a couple of weeks ago, but didn't happen. Such is life.
Life just happened.
It does. So we are here tonight. So thanks very much for coming in, Cara, and it's good
Thanks
to finally meet up
I
with you.
appreciate it.
So I know we don't do questions and all that kind of stuff, but I'm going to ask you about Into the Obscure and what have you. How did that come about and how you got involved and stuff?
Oh, so podcasting, anything, I definitely never expected to do that. I don't know. That was just something I enjoyed listening to. And I had the opportunity to be on a podcast a little while ago, and I took it. And it was an interesting learning experience, had a fun time. And along the way, one of my best friends and co-hosts on that podcast and another one of our co-hosts decided, you know what, the three of us really enjoy each other, really enjoy working together, and really want to kind of open up under a platform that we already had, like for photography and, people kind of like-minded being together, in a Facebook kind of forum, Instagram. And so we started Into the Obscure, and it's just kind of like, three really good friends, Jenny, Tressa, and I, just kind of talking about obscure, weird stuff. So, paranormal for sure, ghosts are my favorite thing, but definitely we all have different areas of focus. So that's why it's Into the Obscure. It's not just paranormal. Jenny is cryptids, especially Bigfoot. If she ever saw Bigfoot in the woods, she would just run after him and be gone forever. She would never even bother coming back to us. Tressa, the Chicago Mothman is her big focus, but all things like that, all things Fortean. That's really her focus. Aliens. So we all have our things we bring to the table and all together. So I love their passion about their areas of interest, and, they enjoy hearing about the ghosts, and we try to kind of intersect whenever we can. And we have some really cool guests, some, great friends of ours come on the show, and some people that I just want to talk to. We have them come on the show that become great friends. And we're really excited to all be working together. So it's a new project. So it's really fun to kind of build something from the ground up and not just join it. And so Into the Obscure is what it is. So it'll be all things, what's an obscure thing you can think of, not just ghosts, not just Bigfoot, all kinds of things as time goes on.
It's a bit of a mix. Just what you were saying about, about doing podcasts and what have you, when you first started doing them, it's something you never thought you'd be doing. But we're the same. As somebody says to me about 3 years ago, you're going to be doing podcasts on Facebook and YouTube, I'd be like, what's that? And it was weird when we first started. We've done I'll be honest with you, our first 2 or 3 lives were a mess. I'm surprised we're here. Do you know what I mean? With the very first live we done, I was using my phone. Obviously we're sophisticated now. We've evolved in the computer kind of thing. But I was after I watched it back, and then I realised that I'd been sitting like this with my phone, and for about 80% of the show, all people were seeing was up my nose. Because of the way the camera was, I'd never done it before.
No, that's all this stuff. When I started, I just used my, stupid laptop camera, and I was like, wow, this looks terrible. What do I do here? And it's amazing. Get an actual camera. Weird, it's all those things.
And it's amazing how many times you touch your face. I don't know if you've done this, you know, but when you first you're like this and then
I like to do this. That's my go-to.
I'm kind of out of that department, you know. I suppose I could use my eyebrows, you know.
Smoothing them down.
It's a lot of fun, you know. Once you get into the rhythm and you start building friendships up, and you know you're a regular guest that you like to come on and chat with, it is a lot of fun. Did you think, you know, we don't really talk about it, but during the pandemic, do you think it helped people a lot back then as well, doing the sort of podcast thing?
Oh my goodness. I think anything that connected people. During the pandemic, was not podcasting. I'm a nurse, so I was right in it. But I always had, it was interesting to me, people had, you know, talked about not having connections and not being around people. And I'm, you know, and I felt like I was just the opposite. I was always with people, you know, probably, you know, constantly too much, you know, at work. And it was a lot all the time. And my blessing during that time, there was a historical site that I was able to spent a long time volunteering at, that we were there every Saturday, and we got to be normal people for, you know, in a morning and afternoon once a week. And that was, I think, anything, whether it's podcasts or podcasting or just, you know, activities that let us be normal people for even a minute, I think was so valuable and really helped us get through.
It was a bad time for everybody, thankfully. So, well, more or less, you know, over. Fingers crossed. But I just love the way podcasts bring people together. You know,
I think so.
We're just a small team for the west coast of Scotland. You know, nothing special. But if we hadn't started doing these podcasts, some of the people we have met, yourself included, I need to say that you're on here just now. You see, it's people you would never have dreamed that you would ever speak to. You know, in your normal kind of everyday life. And I enjoy doing them, you know.
Yes. I am obsessed with it. I think the coolest thing, I said at most of our interviews, I think the coolest thing is that I can just be like, oh, I want to talk more to that person. And then I get to. Who gets to do that? That's amazing.
It's I'll just get through that. Laura, she's one of ours. Your eyebrows have a life of their own, Gaffer. We'll ignore that comment. That's Sarah Apartment co-founder. Penny, listening to and watching podcast videos in life gave me feel lonely during the lockdown and after. Thanks, Doc. Penny's right. You know, it was, because let's face it, everybody was locked in. You know, I know you were the same over there. You know, we're basically locked in, couldn't go anywhere. And that's because we'd only managed, we just started out, we'd only managed 2 or 3 investigations, and then lockdown came, and I thought, right, what can we do?
Absolutely.
You know, we can't go our own street, so we decided, well, why do we start talking to people?
Crazy thought, right?
Let's just chat to people, you know.
Yeah.
Home on their couch watching whatever. Let's just get them off the couch and get them on, and it was really, we were really lucky. It was really, I don't know that you found the same thing. The amount of people that say, yes, I'd love to come on. I'd love to come on. And we were doing 4 or 5 shows 4 or 5 shows a night. No, 4 or 5 shows a week, you know. And did you find that the same, that people were, you know, people do want to come on because they just want to sit and chat. And Penny says it's a good way to connect with people. And there are people out there that are lonely and what have you know, to different circumstances, whatever. And it's something for them to watch as well and get involved in.
I think and again, to me, it's such a great, fun way, whether it's somebody I already know or somebody that's coming back to the show or just that I want to talk to at all, to really get to connect and have that time together. And it's interesting, because even if you get to go see somebody in person, but people are all over the world. You don't get to go see everybody in person. Even people, not far away, you don't get to connect. I have a brand new paranormal friend that we met not long ago. She doesn't live that far away, but we're still, with our busy lives, having to say, okay, what about weekdays? What about this? And, it's going to be not as often as we want to spend time together. But when it comes to being on the I know when she's going to be on my podcast and we get to really have a good talk all together. And it is such a great way to be able to connect and have that connection, have that ongoing communication. How much, even that we got to go back and forth in planning this. I think that part is fun too, that fun interacting. I think before I got into it, I didn't know this world existed, and I love it. I love so much because I love people. So it's another cool way to connect.
Exactly. I never knew, I knew about Facebook and YouTube and stuff like that, but doing podcasts and stuff, I used to see some of them on YouTube and think, what they doing? What's that? Why are they doing that? But once we started up, it's a great way to connect. I think that's Laura. It's also a good way to get to know others who are in the same thing as you, and you realise you're not that weird after all.
Yes.
Like the same. After all, there are others out there that like the same as you, so you feel connected.
Absolutely. That's so important to us, especially as the three of us have our different aspects that we really talk about and that we're into, to have that forum that people can come on and talk, and not everybody is going to say things that you fundamentally agree with, or, their ideas are not going to be exactly the same. I think of one of our favorite guests that's coming back, his views on Sasquatch and everything. Not everybody agrees with him, and I know that, but I love talking to him and hearing his perspective and giving a place for that, because none of us really know. Let's be honest. If we knew, there wouldn't be all of this. So it's such a great way to be able to talk about it, and everybody can feel normal about these things that are really normal, these, mysteries of life and the stuff that we wonder about. I love being a forum for that. I even love, at work or with my other friends, that aren't into all of this, when they find out that this is what we do, they go, "Oh, I have a ghost story I haven't gotten to tell somebody," and they just want to talk about it. And they just want to say, "Tell me this is normal. People experience this stuff all the time. It is normal."
As Laura, so who are into the same thing as you, and you realise you're not that weird. It's happened to us a few times. We'll be talking to somebody, and we'll mention a ghost, or we're going to investigate whatever, and they say, "What is it you're doing?" So
Yeah,
you're paranormal investigators. Are you? I love that stuff. And because we recently moved house, and the old house we lived in, I had to get signed off by the other landlord, and it was a girl who came out to sign off, and this is a backdrop. I had the backdrop still up, and she was looking in the room. She says, "What's that for?" I says, "Oh, we do shows and stuff." Do you? I love all that kind of stuff. I love paranormal. I've got a ghost. My mum's convinced she got a ghost now. And this was a housing officer. Just out to have a look about the house to sign off on it. And but as it's amazing amount of people that are into the paranormal, but some of them just won't admit it in case others think they're strange, or
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's so hard, because if, I would, a dear friend's wife once said, just about, she saw my social, she's really into all of those ghosts, isn't she? Well, yeah, so when people are not, you don't bring this stuff up in public, because people might kind of say something like that, and it kind of makes you pause a little bit. But when you know that you get to connect with people that want to have those same conversations, it feels good. It's a nice feeling.
it's the same when people, they realise what you're doing. So, have you ever seen a ghost? And they get back to the ghost programs. They think that going out an investigation is, like headstones flying about and stuff like that. Tables coming out up off the ground. You try to say, it's not like that. It's nothing, like you see on Most Haunted or Ghost Adventures or whatever, no, everything's a demon and Satan come to get you.
Mm-hmm.
I said, we can sit for hours. It's no doubt you do, Cara, and get absolutely diddly, and but what I like is when you get somebody that's a skeptic and you don't try and convince them, you don't try and convert them to the paranormal, but when they have an experience, a personal experience,
Mm-hmm.
but they see it in their face that something's happened, they've heard something, they've felt whatever, and then you see the eyebrows going and, oh, well, maybe this is true.
Uh-huh. I think that's so exciting. Yesterday, my co-host Jenny, we were talking to somebody just about, she's a paranormal investigator. It was Cyn Schrader Hill was on our show. She, she's an author and, just amazing to listen to. And she was talking about something saying, you know what, if people don't believe me, that's okay. They don't have to, they don't, and we're saying, but it's so wonderful to believe and be able to see this part of the world, to be aware of it. And it is so wonderful to kind of know that all of this is going on. I think that's I like magic in this world. And it's pretty great to know that I know that there's magic in this world and I know things are happening, beyond us. And I think that's amazing. Sometimes it could be, don't get me wrong. If something happens in a dark enough, creepy enough space, I'll still run down the hall like the ghost can't get me. But but like by the end though, I'm like laughing the whole time because I think it's so amazing. I am not that paranormal investigator or paranormal anything that's very serious and saying, oh, there's big scary this is scary. Oh, I like laugh the whole time because I think it's so delightful and amazing to have these experiences with what we can't explain. Like come on, that's so cool. And I love, and then I love being able to talk about it. Because so many people do think, oh, that's scary. Oh, no, it's amazing. It's the coolest thing. It's the coolest thing that I can think to do. And if I get scared sometimes, well, that's a bonus. I like it. But
that wee fear factor. But no, you're right. If something happens, we've been lucky enough that we've had plenty of wee bits and pieces happen, and you just can't explain it. You try and debunk it. You look at every single thing, where it's a noise or a touch or whatever, and you just cannot do it.
No.
And, this serious on investigations has. I think it was Laura again. For some reason, Mother Screen's no showing me who it is commenting, but we do our investigations, and no doubt you have it over there in the States. You'll get teams, no disrespect to them, but they'll go and you think they're going to invade Iraq or something like that. All the gear they've got with them, and they're really, really serious and stuff like that. And you think that that's no us. We like to go, and we still do with respect every time, but you do it kind of light-hearted way. Laughing a joke.
There was, I think there's, I'll name drop, and he's in Scotland sometimes. Chris Fleming, he's wonderful. I just adore him. I love when I get to spend time with him. I so enjoy his investigative style, and it's just who he is too as a person. He's also like so joyous and delighted, by everything literally, but he's he too is, I love watching him investigate because he's just so excited when there is something, when there is evidence, because again, we get to see this stuff, we get to feel this stuff. And so while you're respectful and understanding what you're working with and who you're working with, it's okay to have fun and be delighted. This isn't a really cool thing. I would never, I think of myself, maybe what I'm going to be doing in 100 years. If I'm hanging out in a location and somebody's coming, I don't want them to just go, oh, we're very serious, we're going to ask her what year it is 100 times and be very serious. I want people that are going to come and talk to me like I'm a person, and be able to enjoy their time there. How I feel like if you're a ghost, that would be so depressing if everybody's always like angry around you and serious. Be fun and have a nice time and still respectful. You can do both.
Exactly. As you say, you get them and they'll say, "Are you there? Are you male? Are you female?" If I was a spirit, I'd be away. I'd be gone. I'd be.
Are you saying this is so boring, you guys? Come on.
Do you know, you'd be standing there saying, "Do you know how many times I've been asked this? If I'm a male?" I'm not looking. Ask me something different. Talk to me. But as you say, they are people.
Yes.
And one thing that annoys me, and it might sound petty, I know your view on it, is when you see, and I've done it myself in the past, but it's when they say there's something over there. And you think there's not something, there's someone.
You're right.
That there's still a person, man or woman. It's not a thing. If somebody called you a thing in real life, you're going to be pretty miffed. So, and they'll say there's something over there. So, there's someone. Well, we think there's someone over there. Let's try and think.
That's an awesome point. See, I don't think I say either one. I say I just saw a shadow or movement, or like I'll say what I saw or what I felt, but I don't think I say thing or person. I think I'm somewhere in the middle, like just describing the actual. I saw a shadow. I saw movement.
We've all said at one point, I heard something, which is fine, but I mean, these people are still, even though they're in spirit, they're still people. You call me that all the time, Gaff. I'll put my right. She keeps threatening to resign. Laura does a lot of research and stories. She lives about 5 minutes away from where we are. I never call her thing. Never, ever. I treat Laura with respect. It's you put me up. I was saying, Laura. You put me off. But I mean, I think Spirit still enjoys a joke and a laugh.
I think so. No, I had at a infamous closed prison, no longer with live inmates is how I'll phrase it. It's been shut down, but it is a historical site. There's one cell block. It's solitary confinement, the more modern solitary confinement area. And they're funny. If you catch them on EVPs or with, spirit box, anything like that, I think they're so glad, it being a solitary confinement situation, that they don't have, maybe that same interaction or the trauma they remember from the situation, or what they're holding on to, that they're still there. They're funny. Their responses are, really, comical, really, really, I enjoy it. I enjoy, the things that they'll say, or like they described one time, they named a bunch of our names, people that they knew that volunteered there for some of us. And one of, my friends, another volunteer, her name is Nikki. She goes, "Come on, what's my name? You didn't say my name. What's my name?" And then in the box said short, because she's short and we call her short. They know her name. Absolutely. They definitely do, but they're funny.
You see, that's it. I mean, I've always said that, the only difference is they don't have a physical body anymore. That's it. It's the only difference, And do you think through time, it's when building up friendship, there's one particular occasion we go to quite a wee bit. We've been doing it for like 2 years now. And we like to think we're building up the trust of this, the people that are there. And let's see, this 2 seconds, stop abusing the staff so they want to leave. Stop it, Laura. this is the abuse I get of Sarah calls them staff, all official stuff. But do you think the more you go to a location, you build up that trust, you build up that kind of relationship, so that when you do go in, they say, "Oh, here's Cara's back."
Absolutely, absolutely. No, I am not going to deny that I didn't. So the Warrens concept, Ed and Lorraine, their concept of that 28 days. It's so it's the premise of 28 Days Haunted, the Netflix show. They talk a lot about the concept in there. And I am going to be honest, I didn't know about that. I wasn't up on my paranormal history as much as I should be. And I had to laugh because once I learned about that, that's exactly what it was for me, at the prison. I didn't spend 28 days straight or anything, but it was certainly a lot of time, consistently a lot of time. And I think the spirits kind of formed their, relationships with a lot of us, not necessarily everybody. It was whoever they wanted to interact with, of course, and who was ready to, see them interact with them. And we each, would have some interactions maybe with other spirits, but kind of even primarily certain ones. Absolutely. Absolutely. They got to know us and we got to know them, and we would know, kind of, in certain places, it would just kind of be shadows you would see in some areas. And that's what it is. That's them saying hi. It's them showing themselves. In other areas, it's going to be more sound. So the interactions became really dependable with us. There was a kind of celebrity, private rental. And there was one, and I learned, this is when I said, oh my God, it is us. They do know us. The first night we just kind of went along and helped, as volunteers, helping with the tour, organizing, keeping track of all the people and moving them. And we didn't really interact with the site, and nothing really happened that night. Nothing was really going on. We just were there working. By the second night, we said, okay, we're part of this. We are, we're the trigger objects, basically, we're going to interact. And by the second night, there was so much activity, so much, interaction that's when we said, wow, it is us. We have a relationship with them. They know who we are. And that was a really cool moment for me to really notice that, and it's just you all the time, or you and your people with the space and with the spirits. You maybe don't appreciate how much of a relationship you have and how much they know you and like you until other people are around and you're like, oh, it really is us. Hey, thanks. It is us that you like and So I think that's just the coolest, because it just shows that there's this, some sort of ascensions, because there's the different kinds of haunting. Sometimes it's just, an echo of the past. Sometimes, it's all kinds of different things. And when they clearly know who you are, and then especially can name you, there's some consciousness there. And I think that's really cool too.
We can totally relate to what you're saying. There was a location we did about 2 years ago. We spent about 2 months there, and the interaction we got, was absolutely fantastic. And one time we took another team along, just to take somebody else along and a bit of validation, So what we did was we said to the team, the basement area, and then with the stairwell. Says what to do is you do the stairwell for an hour. We'll go into the basement. After an hour, we'll swap over. So we always get plenty of activity on the stairwell. So we did. We went down the basement, done our bit. I came upstairs and said, right, time's up. That's an hour. Let's swap over. I says, how did you get on? He says, we get nothing. Absolutely nothing. After I think it a teddy that slightly moved, very, very slightly. And so I says, right, that's what happens. So we swapped around and we started doing the stairwell, and more or less right away, the activity started. We were getting responses with the K2 cat balls and through the necrophonic. And that kind of made us realise, well, they must recognise us. They don't recognise the other team, but they know who we are. And that's why, whoever it is responding to us, because they just weren't sure of the other team. So it's quite a, and even the location we do the now, my name comes through quite a wee bit. We've picked up, Scots here and stuff. So it does prove that, I know a lot of people might laugh at it. No doubt you've met people the same, but it does prove that spirit is intelligent. They do remember.
Yes, they do. Yeah, no, and they know who they want to interact with. They know who they don't want to interact with. And there was even a time recently that I had been away from the place for a while, and I walked into formerly known as Death Row. It's still Death Row. And I could kind of, I could even see, I kind of feel like it was a bunch of them together. Like they were just glad that we were back. It was, two of us, and I could feel kind of walking into it and just, energy, just, I think like happy we're there. And, I think they do when you walk in after a long time, you just kind of walk in and say, hey, I'm back. And you feel that energy, you feel all of that around you. And that's meant for you, not for, somebody else that they don't know. It's for, I would do the same thing. If there was somebody I hadn't seen in a long time, I'd be excited too.
Did you feel that, I mean, we can't investigate prisons, but that's why you are so lucky with these, abandoned prisons and stuff like that. We really, there's none in our area. You say with Death Row there, did you feel there was maybe, now it might sound a stupid question, but I ask a lot of stupid questions, that there was maybe a different kind of atmosphere on Death Row as there was to other parts of the prison?
So I would always ask people, just my funny, kind of how you ask people questions, to kind of get to know them or how they think or feel. I would always ask if you had to spend the night there or you got to spend the night on the grounds, where would you sleep? And because it's a huge property, it's a huge space. So where would you sleep? And so your reasons could be, I don't know, people might break in and I need to feel safe, or I'm afraid of the ghosts, or, it could be anything. It could be this place is warmer than another. Doesn't, whatever your reason. And I always would choose, hands down, I would sleep in Death Row. It feels safer for people wise. It just feels more protected. I don't know. But also, no, I think it feels the nicest. I don't know. For me, some people feel some negative spirits in there, and absolutely there are, but for the most part, I think it tends to be the most peaceful. Maybe that's people knew what was going to happen. Like they knew their fate. There wasn't anything to fight about. They would just, be there basically on their own. I think, I don't know. I feel like for me, it was more of a resigned, calm feeling as opposed to out in the cell blocks. Out in the cell blocks, I feel like there's a lot more strife. There was a lot more, I feel different in those spaces. In Death Row, I always felt like maybe there was just a peaceful resignation. And again, those are the people that did some pretty bad things for the most part, but they also have time to reflect and accept what's coming next. And, but again, people have felt negative things there. I just never really did.
I dare say, usually there is going to be negative energies, things there, whatever you want to describe. It's Death Row, but the resignation part, I like how you described that, because I think 95% of these people were, you do hear of the odd case where people have been proved innocent on death row, released, etc. But I say 95% of the inmates there know I'm not coming out of this, and there's no point in me fighting it, so I'm just going to live out my days as quiet as I can, because there's nothing much else I can do about it. Whereas in other parts of the prison, there was always a chance that these other people might get out. They might not get out. They might have a longer sentence.
So yeah, there was a lot of fighting that would happen. Whether you're innocent or guilty, really, no matter what, if you're out there with all of these other people, there's a lot going on. A lot of politics of people that are in the prison. There's a lot of choose the right associations and everything. So it was, a way more tense space, way more aggressive, way more everything, because whether, certainly plenty of people in there were not actually guilty, even though they were sentenced. But no matter why you ended up there or what your crime was, if you ended up there, it was going to probably be a pretty bad time, which is, horrible. And it's over, a very long time. It opened in 1858 officially, so and stayed open until 2002. So that's a lot of years of trauma and a lot of years of, just kind of negative aggression imprinting on the space. So I feel like out in the cell blocks out there, a lot more negativity, a lot more, but also it always felt like I was welcome. I was always there to, do good, fix it up, make it a nicer place. So I think the inmates and the guards, everybody, all the spirits left behind, I think they always felt pretty okay with my presence there, and, and my friends that did the work.
Did you ever get any spirits that had a wee, attraction for you or whatever? Obviously, prison, men are locked up, And
So so I'll say, okay, I have, so I don't know his feeling. I don't know, like, the thought process, but my favorite, that I think all of us kind of have somebody that, a spirit that whoever they were, we maybe saw them or were more aware of them than somebody else. My friend Rob had, who he called Eugene. Honestly, that's just who he called him in the hospital. And he, you can tell when you're interacting with these spirits, over again. For me, we think we know, and honestly, I forgot the name right now because I am not the strongest at the historic details. My friends are a little stronger at that than I am, but I called him my guard, the guard or my guard. One day during the day, I was cleaning a cell, a cell block with my friends. And I just felt like somebody leering at me, just staring. You could just feel it cutting through, like you're like nauseous. They're just staring at you. And I kept looking where it felt like it was coming from. And of course I didn't, nobody that I could see was there. And I would look up and I would just say, just, ugh, just felt icky, didn't feel good. And I just kept looking, and finally I kind of just, scooted a little closer to my friends, worked a little less alone, and maybe wasn't in eye shot of whoever this was, right? I knew somebody was there, somebody was watching me. And you say, well, I'm in a prison. Whoever's going to be left behind is probably going to be a little fascinated that these women are doing work out in the galleries, doing stuff. So okay, whatever. We had a paranormal tour that night that we went on, and that I was, helped out with. And some of the guests actually down the cell block, so, kind of, looking at the same area as that morning, said, "Do you hear that?" And kind of back then, I was still saying, mind you, I would be seeing stuff, hearing stuff, but it was never big. It was never big enough to convince me that I saw stuff or heard stuff, even though I would say, "Oh yeah, I could hear him talking." I would still say, I didn't really hear anything." I wanted it big. I wanted these ghosts to really do it up so that there was nothing I could deny, right? I wanted it big. And there was very little they were going to do to impress me at the time. Because I was like, this is supposed to be so haunted. I want something big to happen. I'm here all the time. Come on, do your best. Or do your worst. So the guests heard like heavy prison keys, like like old fashioned. And they go, "Do you hear that?" And I go, "Well, yeah, I do. I do hear it, and you guys do it too." And they said, "Well, is somebody down there?" "No, nobody alive is down there." That's because that was part of the job, to make sure all the live people were contained and not running amok. And so, no, nobody alive. And then we looked down the cell block, totally pitch black. You could see a point of light, like somebody's holding a flashlight maybe and walking with it, but just like a point of light, not bright, not casting light. And I said, you could hear the keys, you could see this light walking. And I was like, oh boy, that's a ghost, that we're for sure seeing this point of light and hearing the keys. And we walked down there and nothing happened then. It was kind of, we heard the keys again, kind of near us, but didn't see anything else. Okay. little bit later, that same tour, probably like 45 minutes later, we're still in the same area. Another group of guests say, I want to walk down there. Can we walk down there? And I said, sure, let's, we'll go together. Can't go by yourself. And all of a sudden, just in front of me, I hear the keys, like I hear it again, like right in front of me. And then just this big, for lack of a shadow, sounds like not what it was, but that's the best, just a big dark blob kind of, like a shadow, thick, heavy, just like stepped out in front of me. It felt exactly the same as whatever was leering at me that morning. It was just the same, like that same feeling, but just, times 100. I thought I was going to throw up. Like, it was just so strong and just felt so off-putting and awful. I literally just ran in the other direction. So that's why I say I run. I always run. Literally ran in the other direction because it felt so, again, it didn't feel evil. It didn't feel bad. It just felt so off-putting, like something I can't be by. And I, just so nauseating, really. And I knew it was that same thing from this morning, just right in that moment. And I was like, oh no, whatever this is coming to see me. So I ran. And my friends laughed at me because they're like, everybody will always remind me that you running doesn't do anything. They are not connected to bodies. They're not stuck back there. They're catching you. And I'm like, well, I know this to be true and I do believe it. I'm still going to run. Like, I just can't help it. And again, I'm laughing the whole time. Like, I'm going, this is so cool, running. So, if I don't expect it.
That sounds nuts. This is great, but you're on your way out the door. No offense, I'd find that kind of weird. This is fantastic, but I'm off.
I'm so happy about this. This is so cool. We're going to talk about this in about a minute when I get about 60 feet away. Let's just go. And I run and I just like scoot down and then I get there and then I stop. Like once I'm like with more people, something like, and I laugh every time because I'm like, it's so ridiculous. I just can't help it. And I think too, now, like, I will also add the disclaimer. We are in this, very dark space that doesn't have power. We all just kind of have flashlights, which is great. I'm very familiar with the space, so it's not that, but just sometimes too, when you hear a sound and you're not 100% that this isn't somebody that maybe broke in and it's maybe a person coming at you, not that I have any evidence of that either. There's just something that kind of like triggers and I'm off running. So we call this guy, he's the guard. He's totally a guard. He's holding keys. We hear him walking with footfalls. That's a normal thing. And even before I ever saw him or heard his keys, we would hear him on the gallery above us, hear the footfalls. The inmates wore different shoes than the guards. It's a guard. And where he's walking, it's a guard. And just the way he would stand, he has definitely, has a preference like for me over my friend Rob, who, Rob's even felt at, areas going between cell blocks to the administration building, walking between, like kind of like a hand, like stop him, or even on his shoulders, kind of stop him from going further. I don't get stopped. I could see sometimes he'd be, up in a gallery, just like watching, kind of patrolling and watching where I am. And other guests on tours would go, there's somebody up there watching us, isn't there? And I'd be like, yeah, there sure is. Because I don't want to tell people they're there, for the experience. So I don't want to tell them, who's there, what I'm seeing. We've had, really well-known psychics that have never been there, come in and say, oh yeah, he stands up there and he'll watch you. He's here to watch you guys. He likes you. So, and then there was even during an Estes session once he said, that he likes me, he likes, some of the other women, but Rob, that friend that he would stop sometimes, he would say, no, you got to leave. I don't like you. And so maybe I should be bothered by some of that. Maybe I should say, oh, and I should find that a little off-putting. I think it's spectacular. And I think it's just so cool, again, to have like that level of interaction.
Whatever this gentleman is still, obviously attracted to you, but it does. I've got a wee comment there to Laura, which I'll pardon a second, Laura, don't worry, I will put up. It shows you that, even after we pass, you still hold emotions, you still have feelings, you
Mhm.
still have likes and dislikes, etc. You know,
Mhm.
and get somebody in the physical life that was a bit of ladies, man, you know, I like the ladies and that, then you're going to be the exact same once it passes.
Yes.
You
No,
know,
and that's what I think too, right? A guard at a prison is gonna have a certain demeanor, and that's why even, like, as he's, like, looking, it just feels like, ugh, you know, especially at first, like, the first time, just really, like, you know, somebody that feels like they have authority in that space, and you're maybe not in control of that space as a visitor. It didn't, you know, it really was, I believe, you know, how this person probably was when they were alive. You know, I don't know what I would have thought of them then, but in our albeit limited, you know, through the veil type interactions, I find it pretty delightful. And now it's not like a scary thing. It, you know, now that I'm familiar, I'm like, oh yeah, I could hear him, or you know, he's over there. And I think he doesn't want to be scary, you know, at least to me. I don't know. I think he just wants to kind of be in the same space sometime and interact. How exciting after a space is abandoned for so much time and maybe you get some people breaking in. All of a sudden, you get a group of people that are caring for the site and caring about the history and really, you know, kind of breathing that life back in and that energy back in. And I do think over time, that energy was able to build too off of us because it would be closed for the winter. When we'd go back in the spring, you could feel it kind of, you could feel it like wake up, kind of like that energy kind of percolating. And it took, you know, a little bit of, you know, a little bit of time of us being there for it to kind of come back. So I think they really enjoy that energy of people putting that effort and loving that space and maintaining it. It's the inmates that maintained and cleaned the space when it was in operation. So the inmates would appreciate somebody coming in and working, you know, working with them, you know, in their mind. Oh, you care about the space too. You
I
love it
agree.
too. And, you know, speaking their history and, you know, and bringing the history back to life. It's so important in these places.
History is really important. I'm going to put a comment up there, Laura. I don't even mention the chair. But obviously, when somebody puts some of that up, you do need to mention the chair, you know, or whatever it is they put up. Just as I was saying, maybe it's got a wee attraction for you. There's a place here called Alloway Kirk. A kirk is another Scottish name for a church, and a kirkyard is a church or graveyard. So one night we were doing an investigation and we had, you know, a camping chair with us. Laura was sitting on the camping chair and she got her butt squeezed. She just kind of, I'm not going to make a noise because you always make fun of me when I do you know, silly noises on shows. So I'm not going to do a noise. I'll just say it was a case of, oh my goodness. And she just looked out the chair. Her butt fell, you know. And it was none of us that did it. We never touched her. But we thought it was quite fun. So that's what Laura was saying. Don't mention the chair. But you do need to mention it. You know, it's like somebody saying, don't look over there. What's the first thing
You look over there. No, but I think that's, yeah, I mean, fortunately or unfortunately, sometimes, you know, some people or some objects, you know, elicit more of a reaction than others for whatever reason. And, you know, in real life, a live guy walking around staring at me creepily, I would not necessarily love. But you know what? In this case, that's okay. Let's hang out and talk and, and interact. You know, like honestly, I'm gonna say honored that he would, you know, be paying attention and show up. And I know he's there. Again, how cool. Just how cool that you get to have that knowledge. You know, I don't know exactly what happens on the other side, and I'm not going to know hopefully for a very, very, very long time. But in the meantime, I know that there's something more. I know and believe, you know, it's not even a matter of believing because I just know that there's more and it
I mean,
doesn't just end.
you get people who are, and it's, you don't always get their own beliefs. As you were saying earlier on about your podcast and people coming on, they've got different views, etc. People are, you know, and my dad was one, you know, God rest him, he passed away with cancer, but the hospital basically told him, you know, you've got like 6 weeks, 3 months, whatever it was they told him. And I went up and visited him every day at the hospital after work. And he says, you know, he says, that's me, I'm done, I'm finished. And I used to say to him, you know, you still behind when you die, you still come back. He says, no. He says, there's no such thing. He says, when you're dead, that's it. Lights out, you're gone, you're buried, nothing is oblivion. And so he did not believe in it. But I've had bits and pieces from him since he passed in 1995, but I've had wee bits and pieces since then that he is still, you know, around. But it's when you get people who just point blank refuse to believe. It's their belief, fair enough, but there's too much evidence out there.
Yes.
You know, to just put the paranormal to bed and say, right, it's a load of rubbish, doesn't exist. You think all the teams, yourself included as well, they've picked up so many. It can even be, you know, the slightest thing. You know, when you were saying earlier on, Cara, you want something big to happen. I always say to people, it can be the slightest thing, the slightest touch in your cheek, you know, can last a second, but something's made that happen. You know, and there's too much evidence out there to dismiss it. And I think people do think we're nuts, you know.
People will still dismiss it and even I'll say even I grew up, you know, having paranormal experiences. I did, you know, throughout my life. But I will say, like I said, when I got to the prison, I don't know what I wanted these ghosts to do. I wanted it big and grand. And I think I wanted that to be my moment that I was like, see, everybody knows now. I think I was looking for that. So I think just kind of as humans, you know, that like odd touch or that sound or, you know, that shadow we see moving for no reason other than the shadow is somebody moving, you know, I think we like to try to dismiss that. And I think as skeptics, you know, sometimes evidence is not evidence. Sometimes you're like, nope, that was a piece of dust. It's not it's not an orb, you know, it's dust or whatever it may be. I think there are things to dismiss, but I think people get a little bit much with dismissing everything. You know, it's kind of easy to say, oh, I didn't really hear that. Or no, you didn't either. It's, you know, and if that's what you need to do to get through the night, that's okay too. So.
I mean, no doubt you've had it as well, Cara. We've done investigations and people, you know, have heard something or seen something and say, did you hear that? I never heard it. Or, you know, I never seen it. Because not everybody hears or sees the same thing as you know.
And sometimes it's just not meant for somebody else. Sometimes it was just meant for the one person. So you're not all going to hear it and you're not all going to record it. Or, you know, even when people bring a lot of equipment, you know, all this equipment and they're very serious and all that, and they'll get really angry when like you were kind of mentioning this and when they don't get anything and you're like, but did you look around? You know, that's all night. I was seeing all of this, I was hearing them. But if you don't look around and spend some time in the space, you might just miss it too. So, you know, if somebody, you know, maybe me in 100 years, if somebody's just coming in with a bunch of equipment and they're really going to capture me, you know, and really prove something, I might not jump around too much in front of them. I don't know.
It's when you see, I've got another comment for Laura, which I stick up and I say, it's when you see them. I mean, we're not a tech team, you know, we're a kind of basic team. Because we have a kind of frame of mind. If you get a spirit through the 15th, 16th century, you know, for example, they don't care if you've got a £500 camera or a ball, you know. Yeah.
Well, and to them, though, if you're like, touch this thing that makes noise and lights up and everything, maybe now they're savvy. Maybe they've spent the last 400 or 500 years paying attention to the developments and they're comfortable with it. Or maybe they're like, I am not touching that thing that lights up and makes awful noises. Because that would be, I think, maybe a little terrifying. I don't know. You know, if you're them, they didn't grow up with that or live with that. So I don't know what their level of awareness is to ask them to do things that they can't do.
But I mean, the other way you look at it is you get maybe a spirit from the 17th century, you know, 1600s, and you say, if you touch this will light up. They might look at that as some kind of witchcraft or something, which back then you'd be burned at the stake or hung. And they're saying, this is witchcraft. I'm not getting anywhere, you know, near that. I mean, there was a guy, he's from Edinburgh, and that was a couple of years ago. He went to Greyfriars, he'd done it as a live, but he had every bit of tech under the sun. You know, he walked into Greyfriars and said, like, he was going to war with Kuwait or something, Iraq or something, away, and he went. It took about 2 hours to set all his stuff up, and it was like inside the spaceship once he'd done it, all the lights, and he got absolutely diddly squat. He get nothing. It was so funny. He get absolutely nothing.
It was so funny.
Hi, Nicole Doe. Nicole Ray. I thought it was hilarious because I didn't really like the guy anyway to start with, but I watched him anyway. You know, he was one of these people you watch because, I mean, put it this way, he was looking for Bigfoot in a public park in Edinburgh.
Oh.
You know, no forest or anything. This was a public park he was in, and he done a live investigation, and he was walking about hitting two sticks together, going, "Oh," you know, stuff like that. The guy was absolutely off his banana. Swear to God.
I feel like.
Oh, I'm telling you, clowns. Clowns isn't the word, but after it was so funny, they get absolutely nothing after all this trouble. But
Yeah.
thinking, see if I was a spirit there and I'm standing watching this guy, I'd be bored. So, you know, I'd be like that. Where are you going to start? You know, I'm waiting, and he's building a spaceship inside a town, basically. Like, come on, I'm bored now. I'm going, you know, and that's what I think. But I will jump back to Laura's comment, and just we were talking about when some people hear something or see something and others don't. We did an investigation at an old castle. It was about 6 or 7 years, and everybody's seen what they described as a white mist going by. What used to be windows and the door. I never seen it. I was the only one that never seen it. You know, and I was, you know, I felt there was something wrong with me, that everybody else was seeing this mist, but it didn't want me to see it. And then she said about the whispering lady. That was another investigation where I had a lady whisper in my ear, but nobody else heard it. We caught it. We've got it. We did catch it recording wise, but nobody else heard this woman. They heard something totally different. They heard what they described as a shot and take a breath, but I never heard that. I heard the lady. Breath. Sorry? Exhale a breath. Sorry, Sarah's just corrected me. Exhale a breath. They heard a breath, you know. And so I think spirit can pick and choose who they want to see them, hear them. You know?
Absolutely.
Watching Pope's Exorcist for the 9th. I want to see that film actually. I thought it'd be quite good. Best experience ever. The Miss can't explain because they kept saying at different times. You know, I just saw it. It's wrong with this. You know, where? You know, and this was known for about an hour and a half, and I seen absolutely nothing. Look, the other thing I was going to chat to you about was your 5-year I can't say the word residency. I say that. No, sometimes there's words that I just cannot pronounce. No doubt you. Laura put a word in the comments on the show last night, and for the love of me, I could not pronounce it. Your 5-year residency.
So I got to spend 5 years.
Aye.
5 years of Saturdays and a lot of Saturday nights and a lot of nights working, you know, to really spend the time there. You know, clean it up, huge, you know, integral in cleaning it up, going back to, you know, talking about 2020. You know, our group was instrumental in keeping the place open and moving forward, you know, because requirements really changed for the whole world during that time. And we really got to kind of build its paranormal presence program, you know, kind of all of that kind of from the ground up. And that was really an exciting thing to be able to do and an honor. And I learned so much about the paranormal, about the paranormal, everything about that, everything that goes into it, even just, fun photography, cool stuff that I got to do and learn. And for now, and there's news stories about it. For now, a lot of us aren't there right now, but hopefully that changes in the future. I look forward to getting back. So
It's amazing the amount that you do actually learn. Jumping back, we were talking earlier on about the podcast thing. It's amazing how much you learn through just chatting to different people on podcasts.
Yes.
It's no just, a big part of it is building friendship, building bonds. And as you say, it's not just somebody from around the corner. It can be, we talk to people like yourself in America, Australia, etc. And it's, it's learning as well. And it's picking up wee little tips. It's not in anybody. But, an example, when we first started investigating, I had a really bad habit that I would ask one question after another, bang, 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 bang.
Yes.
And I don't know if everybody's done it, but somebody said to me, leave a gap because you have to give spirit time to respond. If, they're going to respond, you need to give them time.
Yes.
And I thought, true enough, whereas are you male, female, where year were you born, where year did you die, blah, blah, blah. And then I thought, wait a minute, if somebody was firing these questions at me, I'd be like, get stuffed,
For me, it's it's a bad habit I have. It's so hard to break, is that whispering, that you do, or you make a little sound and you just kind of maybe don't regard it. Just even that, having that strong communication and that we're all kind of working towards the same goal. So if somebody's trying to ask those questions, trying to interact with spirit, trying to get an EVP, and you have somebody in the background saying, "Oh, it's really cold tonight. I'm glad I wore pants," and it's just some mundane thing you're talking about, but you have to not whisper. You have to say, "Oh, that was me," when there's a sound. Little things like that it's amazing that you have to learn, that we forget, are so important.
There's Kate. Kate was on the show last night from sunny Chicago.
Kate's from Chicago?
Kate's from Chicago, yeah.
Hi, Kate. Me too. I'm in the suburbs, but Chicago, yeah.
So's Nick Muley. He was on last night as well. He's from Chicago.
I had my show last night, so I did not get to pay attention to yours. Sorry.
A few shows with Nick and Kate as well. Kate, you'll need to put in the comments what part of Chicago you're from. I think she's on the outskirts. I might be wrong.
Me too. So
she'll put up where, hopefully she'll type in where she's from. I forgot you were in Chicago and then I clicked Joliet.
That's why it's so sunny here. It's, so speaking of the sun, all of my stuff for the podcasting is all set up to have it be dark out, because it's usually at night. So now it's always weird when it's light. I'm like trying to cover stuff up. I don't know what to do with myself, but it's very sunny here. It was raining yesterday and it was gross yesterday, but it's very sunny here.
Me too. Suburbs, let's connect. I moved here 6 months ago. I'm British, really. She's English, but us Scottish people do not hold it against her that she is English. It's not her fault. She was born south of the border. So we've got a lot of English.
All right, yeah, Kate, find me on Facebook or something. Add me. I'll figure it out that it's you. Tell me that it's you.
It's September. It's Scotland. It's roasting is not normal. I think that's war again, because the names aren't coming up on other screen for some reason. It's unusually warm here for September.
That's what I hear. The planet's burning, so it's not going well. We're not doing a great job.
I know the planet's kaput, and that's another thing. I wonder what spirit would think of the planet these days? Because obviously, you know, thank you. Yes, Nick too. He's the same location. I think that Nick and Kate are about. I'm probably getting this wrong, Kate. So you know, don't shoot me. I think they're about 15, 20 minutes driving distance away from each other. But here's an unusual question. Sometimes I'll pop up with these random questions.
Okay.
I wonder what spirit make of the way the planet is these days.
I feel like probably kind of unimpressed with us, you know, as stuff is changing. You know, stuff is different. It's, you know, if they I bet they're unimpressed, you know, as they watch what's happening, because they get to watch kind of from a different perspective. So I don't think they would think it's going great. That's what I'm going to say.
But it's not, I mean, as Laura says as well, it's September here and it's unusually warm. Usually September in Scotland is, you know, just stay at home. Forget it, you know. We usually get a summer around about the second week in July and then that's it gone. You know, maybe get a week of it and that's our summer. But I remember when I was a kid, you know, every summer with the school holidays, it was scorching. Every Christmas, it was, you were up to your neck in snow. But I can't remember the last time we had a white Christmas. You know,
it's too bad. I like looking to get a new car and I say, should I get all-wheel drive? You know, I have to drive a little bit to get to work and we're going, it doesn't snow anymore. It's fine. You know, we'll get some good storms every now and again, but lately it kind of just like slush rains. It's just, you know, it's not. I remember I would sled all the time. There would be so much snow when I was little. I bought sleds for my kids and they never used them. It never snows enough. So it's not going great. It's a change in.
It's not. I remember. It's about maybe more than 4 or 5 years ago. I was working and I was starting at I think it was 12 o'clock midday. You know, but I was an early riser. I was up early in the morning, and it was beautiful sunshine. It was April, and it's totally paranormal. It's not related paranormal, but I went up and I went to the local shop and I had shorts and my sliders on, my flip-flops on. You know, so I went to the shop, came back, and then I get ready for work and I opened out the door and it was a blizzard. This was about 11 o'clock. It was an absolute blizzard. I thought, wait a minute, about 3 hours ago, I was out there with shorts and flip-flops on. But now the snow was actually going sideways.
Oh, wow.
The wind was, and by the time I got to work, it was raining. I thought, what's going on? Is it going to be sunny, snowy? Is it going, you know, because you just don't know how to dress. You know what I mean?
No.
You don't know what footwear to put on at all.
Well, no, and we're in the middle times right now too. Probably a lot like you this morning. I thought, oh, I should be wearing a lot more clothes. And then by the time I was driving home, I was like, I wore too many clothes. And so, yeah, it's hard right now. This is a rough season as we go into Halloween.
It's all upside down. So that was a wee bit, folks, of unparanormal chat there, you know.
Welcome to the weather, everybody. It's been pleasant in Chicago, just a little rainy.
Tomorrow's cloudy with a wee bit of sun, temperature 27 degrees. You know the thing that always amazes me about the weather, I don't know if you get over there, it's when we get weather forecasts over here and they give you a time that it's going to start raining. I don't know if you get that. They'll say, you know, it will start raining at 3 p.m. this afternoon. So you're outside at 3:05 and you're like that. The rain is late. But, you know, it's maybe here 5 minutes ago. You think, how can they give you a time when it's going to...
They can be very good about it.
You know,
and I live in the Midwest, so we really do pay attention to the weather because we worry about tornadoes and stuff. So we get really, you know, we care about what's going to happen. And it's just what we have to think about, the weather.
And and you say it'll be sunshine at 4 o'clock this afternoon. So 4 o'clock, you get the shorts and the vest top on, and you're standing outside waiting on the sunshine and the pouring rain. See, well, the weatherman says it's going to be sunny at 4, so I'm waiting. You know, you're ready for the sun. And it never comes, you know. Sorry, folks, about the weather chat, but
I hope y'all enjoy it.
You know, so tomorrow, you know, wear your wellies and your raincoats because it's going to be raining. Well, no, hopefully not. But that's the other thing I care about these podcasts that I enjoy because you can go anywhere.
Absolutely.
They're so unpredictable, and the best thing about being live is when things cock up, basically. You know, I mean, I've had my chair break on me. We done a live with Craig Arden, the CRA panel one night, Craig Arden, David Espinosa, and that, and my chair just went, and I went with the chair, and I kicked the camera out on my way down.
That would have been a good one.
It was, you're panicking, you know, because you get Craig Arns and that sitting in your panel, and you just vanish.
Yeah.
And so you're scrambling about for the wire to try and get it back in, and then you're looking for something to sit on, and you can't find anything, you know. I ended up sitting on a makeup box. I was one of Sarah's makeup. She got one of these, it was a trolley sort of thing. And I thought, you tell me, it's the only thing that's in here. It's, you know, so I was sitting in a makeup box, but looking back, it was, what's Laura said, boxer shorts.
And boxer shorts.
Oh, aye. That's, when we first started, you know, Sarah would be in the living room, I'd be in the bedroom on my phone, and there was one night we were doing a live and it was really warm, and so I was sitting on my bed, so I was sitting with my boxers on and a t-shirt, as you do when it's roasting outside, but my camera went dead. My camera gave up, so without even thinking, I walked into the living room forgetting that Sarah was at the computer with a webcam. She was on the same live.
That's good. All of a sudden you're just there.
All you saw was me walking in the door with my t-shirt and my bottle. And it was that moment, you know, that moment of horror where you realise, wait a minute, they can see me. And I'm standing my body. Sorry, folks, I'm kind of out of, you know.
And it was your highest rated show, you know.
It was 2 million views. It was great. See the amount of mails I got. My phone was nearly broke. The amount of mails I got, you know, come on our show, you know, come on our show. We had another one, quite story. It was a lady from Australia was on, so we went live at midnight our time. Oh. And somebody popped up in the chat asking if they could come on, but it was a name we recognised. And so we let them on. It turned out somebody had hacked her account, whatever. So we ended up with a young guy standing in his hallway, and he just totally stripped off on the live. Just totally, everything came up.
I don't know what I would do. I don't know.
It took us a couple of seconds to realise what this chap was actually doing. So he's naked. He's naked. And so we ended up with Stoke to Live. Luckily, our guest, she was in stitches. She thought this was hilarious.
I would find that hilarious.
But it was just, you know, it was so bizarre. It was just, you know, guy standing there naked.
I have never had that happen on mine. No.
What was the kind of most, Laura? I have a lot more than yes, I accept blackmail. I'll talk to you after, Laura, don't worry. What was your kind of most bizarre thing on a live? There's got to be something.
Not really, no. I think, control it pretty well. You know, maybe forgot to record once, but that's not bizarre. That's just being humans. No, I don't. Okay, let me actually. So I'll tell you. Okay, I do know the story. It's on. I do. on my last podcast, there's so it's a funny story. There was a New Year's party that the producer would invite like everybody he's ever met, kind of, people that he had been involved with. And he had a different kind of podcast. Well, he has another podcast that's very different. And so, very different vibe. So he invited a lot of people. I also invited, there's a very popular TV personality that I know, and he had been on our show, and I invited him. And he's been in the business forever, respect him so much. He's just wonderful. And so I had invited him. I said, well, you've been on our show, it'd be great if you came on to our New Year's Eve show, just to hop on. I didn't know what to expect with the show either. I just, naive me, invited him. I honestly, the last thing I expected would be for him to pop on. So it was on Zoom, and there's his name, but it was just, just the first name, not the whole name. And the producer thought it was another guy that he knew from his past with the same name. So that's what we're assuming it is. Surely it is not this man that's, gracing us with his presence, so lucky he even showed up once on our podcast. Right. So surely it wasn't him. It was sure him. And, just somebody that we so love and respect. just respect. There was another host, another guest he had on that was drinking vodka straight out of a bottle. Or actually, she was pouring it in a wine glass first. She was classy about it, straight into the wine glass, drinking it like it was water out of there with some guy she just met. And it was very not how you want your friends to see people, and not, it was such a, just such a bizarre experience. And I didn't know who this one was. I didn't know what was happening, because I thought the producer was kind of like handling this and understanding what's happening. It wasn't getting managed. It was mortifying. We coined a term, New Year's Eve guilt, like just feeling so bad that this man was involved in this. And it was like watching a train wreck. And it was, so he eventually like excused himself politely, and oh my God, it was the most mortifying. Now I know, now I trusted a little too much that it was being managed, that it was, as it should be. And I should have handled it better, but it was mortifying. To this day, I'm still mortified. I still get like anxious if I think about it and I'm near him. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. He's fine. It's totally fine. Nothing bad happened. It was just mortifying. That's mine. So no naked men, nothing like that happened. Nobody broke in and stripped down, but that's my New Year's Eve story. Just still mortified that it was allowed to continue.
We've got some crackers as well, mistakes and stuff like that. And, it happens, and we've done a few shows where it's just been a mess, basically.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And we did one, it put me, that's the thing. I love America. I really do. I do love America, but I hate the size of it, and the time zones.
Oh.
We're
pretty big.
Pretty big. We've got an American team based in Oregon.
See, I understood that.
Well, they're in Oregon. And I says to Jennifer, I says, how long would it take you to drive to such and such? And she's like, 2 days. I thought maybe a couple of hours. And she says, no, it'll be 2 days. It turned out you can fit the UK into the top half of Oregon.
Yeah. It's even just, I live in Illinois, obviously, because I've said Chicago how many times. I live in Illinois. Chicago is north, on the lake. So it's on the northern end of the state, and it's a pretty long state. You could drive for 4 hours south, and you still have a while to go before you leave the state. Like it's, and it's not the biggest state there is. And it's, as Indiana is next to us, and somebody said, something to do one weekend, it's in Indiana. And I go, yeah, great. I could do that. My husband goes, that's a lot of space. It's not just technically I could get into Indiana within an hour or less, but that's traffic. but like if I'm really going somewhere, that could be a really, really far drive. And I'm just acting like it's nothing, oh yeah, no, it's terrible. It's so much time to get anywhere.
It's massive, and so I was putting together this show, and it took me about 2 months to put it together. Patty Negri, Rick McCallum, Sophie Temple, big names on it, but they all different parts.
Yeah.
And it was trying to negotiate, it was like trying to negotiate world peace, trying to, get them all at the same date and time on our panel. So it worked, eventually got it together. But, it was 10 people on the panel, and it was a good show. It was, but everybody was just talking over each other. No doubt you've had that, and you don't want to tell people, right, shh, it's his turn, it's her turn, but they were all just talking.
No, it's so hard when you start getting a lot of like co-hosts together or a lot of people on a panel, especially like electronically like this. It could get so difficult because we have to we rely so much on those social cues and body language that you don't have as much of when you're sitting here on a screen. So it's hard.
And you don't, you want everybody to be involved. You don't want somebody sitting in the top corner of your panel, and you're on for an hour or 2 hours, and they don't, they only maybe get about 10 words in. You don't want them feeling left out. So you're trying to think how to, bring them into the whole conversation and stuff like that. And it can be a nightmare at times, but it's still kind of fun.
Yes.
If that makes sense. But Tommy, time, we've been on about around 20 minutes. We've spoken a wee bit of paranormal. There's a lot more I want to talk to you. A little bit. Just, a little bit. You got a weather report as well, so that's good,
I know. Sunny in Chicago. Important to know.
Nice and dark in Scotland. But, well, we'll wind up there. I know you're a busy lady. By the way, I liked your photo shoot. Yes,
Thank you. So not yesterday, but the day before, but who knows, because it's like nighttime already for you. I'm so excited. I hope the actual like photographer pictures are cool. It's just a local woman who like is a photographer, and she said, hey, can a bunch of women come and do this? And a friend of mine said, you wanna? And I said, okay. And here I am wearing all black and feathers in a forest at night, on a Sunday night, just like it's normal. So super fun.
Actually, a Sunday night, if it's dry, I'll stick a dress on and go walk about,
I did not wear appropriate hiking shoes. That's totally, that was walking around. It was a little harder wearing those boots than shoes I would normally wear, but that was okay. It was fun.
But it worked out for you anyway.
What was that?
It worked out for you anyway.
It did. Yeah, no, it was so fun. It was perfect. It was it's a park, but it's a huge, it's big. They call it a park, but it's like a forest park thing. So it was so fun. Yeah, it was so much fun. And it was so much fun with her to hang out and spend that time, because it's hard to connect with people. Like we said at the beginning, it can be really hard to find that time. And whenever we get to kind of carve out that little bit of time and have that with our people, it's pretty wonderful.
I totally agree. It's good to connect with people, and sometimes times against. Because I talk to a lot of people on your side of the pond, and obviously your days, your night, and stuff like that. And so it's like 2 or 3 in the morning, and I'll be chatting to some, and it's like 7 or 8 o'clock at night where they are, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I should really be sleeping, but and at the other end saying, hey, I'm wide awake, it's 7 p.m. here and the sun's shining, and well, it's 3 o'clock here and I'm up in 4 hours and stuff like that, but it doesn't stop you doing it, because it's what we do, it's what we love doing, sleep's a bonus if you get any, really, at the end of the day. But just before we wind up, I need to ask you about your sign at the back. I've noticed it a few times. It's approaching, coming aircraft will be shot.
That's actually, so it's a reproduction. A friend of mine was able to get it made. So it's an actual sign, like it's reflective and it's heavy. But a reproduction of um like an actual sign they had at the prison. So it's shiny and new. It doesn't have the dirt of decades on it or anything. So it's a brand new present I just got from him. I was very excited. But yeah, no, so like inmates approaching aircraft. So if something had to land, if
Mhm.
if an inmate was going to run up to the helicopter or whatever that had to come in, they would shoot you. It's from the prison.
It makes sense now, actually, because I've looked at it a few times and I thought, right, what does that actually mean? But as you say, a prison, or
Yeah,
that
it's a
heavy.
prison. So I used to drive by when I was little. This prison is right in a town. It looks like a castle in a town. It's, not like your castles. We like American castles, so not really a castle, made of limestone. And I think it's gorgeous, but I would drive by it when I was little with my mom, and it was still functional. It was in operation until pretty recently. And you would see the guards in the guard towers, and there were signs all over. I was always so fascinated with them. Don't pick up hitchhikers, talking about, because you don't know. So all of this stuff once upon a time was very relevant and real and, a big deal. Don't be approaching that aircraft, any inmates. So yeah, no, I think it's just such a cool, and so I used to have all of these other pictures more in the middle, but he would say, when you do podcasts, you need something there. And I'm going, but I do have pictures there, but I chose the darkest pictures ever. So, like this one, and up there, you can't even see them because they're so dark. I'm going, I do have nice pictures. And he's going, no, you don't. And so
No, you don't.
I was worried that it would be too shiny, but it isn't. It's absolutely perfect.
We tried, we experimented with the backdrop, the I call it computer generated. As I said earlier on, tech and me, total enemies. And it worked for Sarah, but for some reason it just did not work for me. So I ended up just getting a black backdrop.
That's perfect.
And it's actually quite funny. A couple of years ago, we had a guy up from England, and he came into the house and he started looking about the house, and I said, what's wrong? So if he was looking for something, and I said, he said, I'm looking for your studio. So you're standing in it. He was in the living room. I said, you're standing in it. But the backing and everything, and I keep this in a grey kind of duffel bag, sort of thing, it looks more like a golf bag than anything. And he says, where is it? I said, so I went and got the bag. I says, there's my studio there.
So when I first started, I had different color wall, this is cleaner. I like how it looks better. But when I first started, I was not podcast ready in the background at all. So I had a shower curtain that I hung, like I kind of like slung it up. I would run home from work. I, work till 7:30. I'd get home at about 8:30. And it was just like a shower curtain to have a background. And that eventually got old. I didn't like doing it because I'm in a corner, so it was hard to do. I didn't like that. So then I painted the whole room, and got different curtains, like a sane person. I did all of this. And so eventually it became like, I don't have to do anything. And I literally, now it is like a studio. I literally have like, the camera is set up on a tripod, so it doesn't touch anything else. I have a light. So here I am. I thought, the lady that just used the terrible laptop camera at first, here I am, like with my microphone and everything. But yeah, no, it becomes a studio, but it's also where I do my schoolwork and where I watch TV and too.
You evolve, don't you? I mean, our first lives, I was sitting on my bed, and I'll get out of the head, and then it was quite a few months down the line we invested in the backdrops and stuff. You says, why don't we try the generating the thing on the backdrops? But it just did not work for me at all. And so I ended up just putting. I remember one show we did, and the backdrop fell. I don't know why it fell. And I was sitting talking to the guest. Scott, occasionally I do occasionally wear headphones, And your background looks great.
Start that. Yeah, I started. I didn't at first. One of my co-hosts said, get some earbuds. It sounds terrible. I said, okay.
I like wearing them. I always feel I'm going to land a plane or something when I've got them on, you know.
That's why I got just the little earbuds so I hear it, because otherwise the speaker was yelling from my computer at my microphone and it just made it messy. So now these little guys, all these things you pick up. Here's me, a little while later. I never thought I'd be doing all this stuff, but here I am. This podcasting drags you in.
3 years doing the live, we're still doing it. But no, see, my backdrop fell and I was talking to the guest and I could see it in the camera. I was just, and there was no saving it, and it was just, and I said, my backdrop just fell down, didn't it? He says, aye. And the room was a bit of a mess behind it, because it's like nobody can see behind it, and then the backdrop. And the carnage.
That's why I'm in a corner against the wall, so you don't have to worry about the rest of the room.
But look, there's a dining table behind me, just dining table, fridge, because we've got an open plan living room, kitchen kind of thing. So it's a dining table right behind me. But it was just one of these, again, it was one of these moments that you don't plan for. You never think it's going to happen. And then your back disappears and you're like that, it's gone. But I see you in the morning, Gaffer Brighton. I'll be up, don't worry. That's me getting my orders. Yes, got to get some AirPods. No, earphones. It's like weird. They're warm.
No, they got to be wired, because when they're not wired, there's like a delay. I tried that with earbuds and there's a delay and it was real. I didn't like it. So just wired earbuds. Got to do it.
See, we use StreamYard, and sometimes with StreamYard, if you've got more than maybe 3 people, I was saying this to Kate last night, more than about 3 people on the panel, you get quite a bit of feedback. And it doesn't matter what you do, you can't get rid of it. I don't know why it is, but there's shows we've done with 6, 7, 8 people on the panel, and it's been fine. And so, I don't know. I don't have an answer for it. So I stick the headphones on, and that seems to cure the problem.
Yeah.
But we'll wind it up there, Doug. So where can people find you? And don't say Chicago.
All right. So you can find me in Chicago. Our podcast that we're so excited about, Into the Obscure podcast. So Into the Obscure podcast, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or intotheobscure.com. That might be the easiest just to find us. Me personally, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I have a Twitter, but I don't actually use that. And technically on Threads too, but I don't actually use that. So Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Kara Phillip, Kara Phillip, Philip. So follow me, say hi, and follow me on my adventures. If you're local, this September 23rd, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, we are going to be, my co-host and I, at Great Lakes Paracon in Glen Beulah, Wisconsin. So we're just there. We're just going to go hang out, walk around. So come say hi to us. We're just going to go see all of our friends, and we're calling it Paranormal Party Time. And so if you're there, say hi too. That's it. That's what I got.
So there you go. I put all Kara's links in our chat on the post for tonight. So you go to our page, you see all different links here, and click on them, and Carol pop up.
Follow something. Yeah, follow something,
It'll pop up in person. She'll pop up on the
I'll just be there,
She's everywhere.
I feel like it's sometimes, yeah.
I'll keep a hold of you just after we come off for a wee minute or two, Kat. That's all right. So we'll wind up there, folks. Thanks very much, everybody, for watching and your comments. And a big thank you to Kara for coming in. And hopefully she'll want to come back again.
Yes.
See, there you go. You see, she got to say yes. I've never had a guest who says, no, I don't want to come back because it was rubbish. So you know, I don't know. But we will have Kara back because we've been on for about an hour and a half. and we've talked
Yeah.
some paranormal, some, you know, so there's more to talk about, you know. So the next part 2, we shall talk more paranormal and maybe some more weather advice. Who knows?
You know, hey, it'll be a different season then. We'll see how much snow is falling.
We can compare snow.
I can't even imagine it right now. But you need to go to sleep. It's super late for you. So
I know. I'll get to sleep. I'll get to sleep on Thursday. I mean, but so we'll wind up there, folks. Thanks very much again to Carol coming in, everybody for watching. And we're back on Thursday night with Rick and Charlie, where we'll just be talking a load of rubbish. You know, so just watch that. Three guys talking crap. Excuse the French. And we'll see you soon. So take care. Bye. Bye.